Greetings, M squared here. We are going to write some more equations from tables that we're given. First of all, these are all linear, so we want to make sure that we know that our learning target is to write a linear equation. We want to write it in slope-intercept form. And these ones are a little bit more difficult because we don't have a zero. So remember, to write an equation of a line in slope-intercept form, we need a slope and we need a y-intercept. M stands for the slope, B stands for the y-intercept. So there's no y-intercept there. There's a lot of different ways to do this. I'm going to show you one that's more like figuring it out instead of algebra-ish. Okay, because that'll be a different lesson. So it's important to know that the y-intercept always happens when x is 0. And I don't know if you can see that right there, but 0 for x would be right between -2 and 2. So to find my intercept, I have to find the number right between those two things, because that would be 0. Well, what would be right between these two things? Can you think of what number is between -4 and -2? It's -3. So sometimes you can figure it out without doing a lot of algebra, just by logically thinking where it would be and kind of figuring that out. So now I know that my b is -3. I still have to find my slope. So my slope, remember, is the change in y over the change in x. So first I find my change in y. That's -2. I'm sorry, that's +2. I'd add 2. And here, I'd add 1. Okay, so I'm going to find my change in x, so that's a +4, and this way is a +2. So I need to make sure that these are the same. So first I'm going to just look at this one. My change in y was 2, my change in x was 4. That reduces to 1/2. Then I come over here and I do it again, and I want to make sure they're the same, because remember, a linear equation, the rate of change, or the slope, is constant. It will always be the same, and you'll see that here it's 1/2. So now I know my slope is 1/2. I know my y-intercept is -3. When I know those two things, I'm ready to write the equation. Y equals mx plus b. And that is my equation. Okay, let's try another one. Remember, we need two things. We need a slope and a y-intercept. This time I'm just going to look for the slope first. So here I go. What would I do to get from -2 to -6? I would subtract 4. What would I do here? I would subtract 4 and subtract 4. Oh, that's nice. They're all the same, right? So here I'm going up 1 each time. So my change in y over my change in x is -4 over 1, because here is a +1. Now I know my slope is -4, which is nice because where would my y-intercept be? It would be when x is 0. So I'm looking 6, 5, 4, 3. I need a 2, a 1, and a 0. I need those 3 points to figure out what this one's going to be. And so now I'm going to go backwards. What would I do here from -14 to get to -10? Well, if I subtracted 4 this way, I'm going to add 4 this way. So I'm adding 4, I'm adding 4. So from 3 to 2, I have to add 4 here. What's -2 plus 4? It's 2. And then I have to add 4 again, going this way now, right? Going that way. So I'm adding 4. So that would be 6. And now I have to add 4 again. That would be 10. So without doing a lot of algebra, I just found that my y-intercept was 10. So if I know my y-intercept is 10, I am ready to write my equation, because it's y equals m x plus b. And there it is. Now, if you're wondering, hey, I'm not sure if that's really correct, what you can do is you can just pick any of these points. I'm just going to pick this point right here, 5, -10. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, when x is 5, y is -10. So I come over here and I say, okay, -10, -4 times 5 plus 10. So what I did was I put the 5 in where the x was, I put the y in, the -10 where the y was, and I'm going to see if it works, because if it works, then we're good. So -4 times 5 is -20, plus 10 is definitely -10. So they matched up. That's how I can know for sure that I'm right, by just picking any point on there after I make my equation. Sometimes I pick several because I want to make sure it doesn't just work with one. If it works with 2, you're pretty solid there. Okay, last one. So again, we kind of are looking for my y-intercept, which would happen right in between those two, right? So that's going to be a 0 right there, and we need to find the y to that. So let's just look at what's happening with x. So from here to here, I'm going to be adding 4. From here to here, adding 4. From here to here, looks like I'm adding 3. So from here to here, I'm adding 12. From here to here, I'm adding 12. And from here to here, it looks like I'm adding, what's that, 9, right? Looks like 9. Okay, let's test it out. What's my change in y over my change in x? Well, these two are the same. 12 over 4, that's definitely 3. And then 9 over 3. 9 over 3 is also 3. So we're good. It's linear. We know our slope is 3. And now we have to find our y-intercept. Well, if our slope is 3, that means every time I go over one x value, I'm going over 3 in the y department. So when I go from -2 to -1 to 0, each time I'm going over 3. So I was at 1, I'd have to add 3, I'd get a 4, I'd have to add 3 more, and I'd get a 7. So my b is 7. And you could also think of it as what's right in between 1 and 13. Well, 1 plus 13 is 14 divided by 2 is 7. Sometimes that works too. Sometimes you get a decimal, so you got to watch out for that. Okay, so we're ready to write it because we found our slope and we found our y-intercept. So that is the non-algebra way to find the y-intercept when you aren't given it in a table. And some other time I'll show you the algebra way. But good luck with that. M squared, signing out.